Well, it was, yes.
Okay, so last week was Mother's Day, and last week I asked the mothers to pick a song that they'd like us to sing, and there was one in particular that we could not. Before I go into that, I want to read from the scriptures. Revelations chapter 14, verses 9 through 11. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark on his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup. That means it wasn't weakened. Without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. And you're probably wondering, Jose, what kind of way is that to start a service? They usually come up with a nice cheery passage that causes us to look to our Heavenly Father in praise and adoration. And you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with that song? Well, the song that was selected has a passage in it. And you'll find the words to the song in your hymnal. We stuck a little sheet in there, so hopefully you can find it. It should be right there in the beginning. The name of the song is In Christ Alone. And there is, in the second stanza, the phrase, the wrath of God was satisfied. The wrath of God was satisfied. Don't know that you knew this, but there was some controversy over this phrase. It was a little too harsh for some people. And they wanted to change the passage or the phrase to the love of God was magnified. The love of God was magnified. They wanted to change it from the wrath of God was satisfied to the love of God was magnified. It's a lot more welcoming, more, makes you feel better, right? Who wants to talk about the wrath of God being satisfied? It was actually the Presbyterian Church that had petitioned to get these, to be allowed to sing it this way. And their petition was denied by the author. Not going to do that. Not going to do that. You're not going to change those words. It's exactly what felt inspired to write. The wrath of God was satisfied. So, what I just read to you out of Revelations gives you a picture of the wrath of God. And just uses the imagery of being poured out like wine. And it wasn't watered down in any way. And this wrath is very scary. I mean, just listen to these words. They're very fearful. They should strike fear into those that don't know God. The reason I felt I wanted to bring that out was so that we could have a greater appreciation. Again, a greater appreciation for what actually happened there. The wrath of God was satisfied. And the only way the wrath of God could be satisfied is he doesn't say, you know what, I don't feel so wrathful anymore. Maybe I'll just not pour my wrath out on those that are deserving of my wrath. Which is everyone. Everyone is born in sin. Everyone has committed sin. Everyone is worthy of the wrath of God. No, he can't do that. He can't do that. It's against his nature to do that. It's against his justice to do that. His wrath was going to be satisfied. He satisfied it by pouring his wrath out on his only Son. The sacrificial lamb, the perfect Lamb of God. And if that doesn't cause you to be appreciative, if that doesn't cause your heart to just melt for God, I don't know what else will. I really don't. So this is a very powerful song that we selected. Thank you. Thank you, Donnie, for picking it. And we're going to sing In Christ Alone. So take your sheets. You got it? You good? All right. I asked Joseph to take a look at the music, make sure we got the right version here. Oh, let's stand, please. I would like us now to turn in your hymnals to number 191. There is power in the blood. 191.
There's power
198. 198.
Wonderful grace of Jesus, greater than all my sin. How shall my tongue describe it? Where shall its praise begin? Taking away my burden, setting my spirit free. Oh, the wonderful grace of Jesus reaches me. Wonderful, the matchless grace of Jesus, deeper than the mighty rolling sea, higher than the mountains, stronger than the fountain, all sufficient is broader than the scope of my perfection, greater than all my sin and all my sin. Oh, magnify the precious name of Jesus, praise His name. Wonderful grace of Jesus, reaching to all the lost. By it I have been pardoned, saved to the uttermost. Chains have been torn asunder, giving me liberty. Oh, the wonderful grace of Jesus reaches me. Wonderful, the matchless grace of Jesus, deeper than the mighty rolling sea, higher than the mountains, stronger than the fountains, all sufficient is even me. Broader than the scope of my transgression, greater than all my sin and all my sin. Oh, magnify the precious name of Jesus, praise His name. Wonderful grace of Jesus, reaching the most far. By its transforming power, living in God's dear child, purchasing peace and heaven for all eternity. Oh, the wonderful grace of Jesus reaches me. Wonderful, the matchless grace of Jesus, greater than the mighty rolling sea, higher than the mountains, stronger than the fountain, all sufficient grace for even me. Broader than the scope of my transgression, greater than all my sin and shame. Oh, magnify the precious name of Jesus, praise His name.
Wonderful. You may be seated.
Oh boy. Thanks for letting me know.
I've been requested to play number 201. And by the way, you guys can make requests. Give a song that you want me to do a special on.
Hear that? Can request a special.
long to open my computer. I opened it and it said, 30% there. Please be patient. And everyone knows that my forte is patience. Right, baby? So this morning, Jose talked about us being the light of the world. And I'm sitting there, and the question that I had when Jose was talking about that, because we are to be the light of the world, was how is that going to happen? Right? I mean, for everyone, it's going to happen differently. There's no one answer. But I can tell you that God will give you the tools if you stay in the Word. He's going to give you those tools. And for proof, we're going to talk about what He did for the disciples. Okay, so the overarching thing is that I want you, everyone here, to have confidence in your faith so that when it comes time to preach the gospel, you can do it with confidence. Because if you have light in your body, if you are the light of the world, what are you supposed to do with that light? You're supposed to hide it?
Not under a bushel.
Not under a bushel.
Not
Right.
under a bushel.
Right. We're supposed to proclaim it. Right? And if you don't have faith in something, like I could never be a salesman. I would be like the worst salesman because I always nitpick at the stuff. I tried to sell Cutco knives when I was in high school. No. Yes, high school. It was high school. I tried to sell Cutco knives and I'm like, man, they're made out of the same stuff that football helmets are made out of. And that was it. That's all I had. And if you didn't want to buy them, then yeah. So I didn't have confidence in my product. Oh, I sold vacuums too. Oh, I forgot about that. That's when I called my wife and I was like, babe, you gotta come pick me up. I'm on Rock Rimmon. Yeah. You gotta have confidence in what you're selling. Right? So if you don't have confidence in your knowledge of the gospel, how can you spread it? Right? Right? There's a little something missing there. So hopefully my goal is that you guys will have confidence in knowing that you will be given the tools to spread the gospel. All you got to do is pay attention. That's all you got to do. I mean, not to me, to the Word. So recently we celebrated Easter, right? And what was that?
Resurrection.
It was the resurrection. And what was the resurrection?
Christ.
It was the proof of Christ's power. The proof. The proof. What did He say? He said to His disciples, in 3 days, no, He said, I will be killed, and then in 3 days, I will come back. Right? And what did they say? Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. That's totally fine. No one's going to kill you. You're the Messiah, right? Right? It's not going to happen. You're not going to.
This is one of those parables.
Right. So He was raised from the dead. And it opened their eyes, right? But before Jesus went to heaven, He gave His disciples their marching orders. Acts 1:8. But you shall receive power after the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be witness unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. This is the Great Commission. What did this do? It changed what the disciples thought was their job. Right? Before this, what were they doing? They were hiding. They were hiding. They were going to spread the good news throughout the world. That's what their new job was, to spread the good news throughout the world. Right? How were these 11 guys going to do it? I don't know. I would have been at a total loss. How do you expect me to do this? How do you expect me to do this? Throughout the whole world? Well, they did. We know they did. We're living proof that they did, right? Right? This is not new. Our beliefs are not new, right? They went from scared to death, hiding in an attic, to the catalyst that spread the news that Jesus was here. He came, he took on our sins. He was killed and then raised 3 days later for our sins. They spread that throughout the world. They were the catalyst. Now, the interesting part is that it didn't just include, it wasn't just the Jews, but it also included those filthy Gentiles, like me, right? So at this time in history, there was no one religion, there was no God that everyone in the world knew. Religions were basically regional. And there was many people who believed in many different gods. You know, there was for the harvest and the planting, right? And so now Jesus had given his disciples a job that no one has undertaken. Probably because it was impossible until Jesus came along. While Jesus was here, he did something that made sure his disciples could go out and fulfill the Great Commission. Especially after he was gone, right? So what did he do? He enabled, he empowered, and then he employed them. Those are the three things we're going to talk about first. Jesus enabled them when he chose them. John 15:19 says, "If you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, I have chosen you out of the world. Therefore, the world hates you." He chose them using his own criteria. If I were looking for world changers, would these be the guys I would have chosen? If you were looking for world changers, would these be the guys? They're fishermen. They could barely speak English. Hebrew. That's it. Someone's paying attention. Right? Not the most educated guys in the world. Probably stank. Fishermen, right? Right? Not your ideal world changer. And Jesus trained them. He took 3 years of their lives, brought them with him everywhere he went. What did he do? He taught them the same message over and over and over. Dr. McGee said in one of his traveling in one of his commentaries, that a traveling pastor had an interesting job because he had like 2 or 3, maybe 4 messages that he would use, because he would go to this congregation and preach this message number 1. And then he would go to this congregation and preach message number 1. And then this congregation and then preach message number 1. Throughout the year. So he would use so he needed very few messages. Because every time he went to a new congregation, it was new to them. Right? It's just the same thing Jesus did. He went and he said the same thing. And his disciples were right there with him as he was teaching it. So they got it pounded in his brain, which is really what I would be. Hear the same thing over and over again until it finally started making sense. So this was kind of like Jesus' own apprenticeship program. That's really what it looks like to me. So like in most apprenticeship programs, you don't start. Let's take an electrician, for example. You don't start out running wire. You don't start out splicing wire. You don't start out touching anything with electricity on it. What do? You sweep.
Dig trenches.
You dig trenches. That's right. That's right. Right. You get the tools. You get the material. You are the gopher. You're the guy who does the work that no one else wants to do. That's what happens. But what happens as you're doing this? You learn the tools. You learn the jargon. If you work with someone who's really good, you learn work ethic. You learn how to act around people. Right? Because electricians are vastly famous for what? Leaving a mess. Right? Right? That's what electricians do. Plumbers, on the other hand, are tidy. Perfect. Everything is... The HVAC guys, on the other hand, all they do is fight. So you learn how to act around people. You learn how to hustle. You learn how to do what you do. You watch, and you listen, and you learn. And then after that, you can do the work. When you understand what the dangers are, what the pitfalls are, what the pros and the cons, and you know everything backward and forward, then you can touch the wires. Only then. And that's what Jesus was doing for these guys. For 3 years, they followed him around and learned all of these things. They learned the tools, the jargon. They learned how to communicate with people. Because Jesus was clearly a good communicator. How many times does the Bible say that he spoke with authority that no one else had? Multiple times. And I don't have that reference right now, but this is what Jesus did. So it wasn't much different than a regular apprenticeship program. And they didn't start out, the disciples didn't start out just preaching the gospel, right? They passed out the food. They cleaned up the mess, remember? They picked up all the stuff from the basket, the fish and the loaves, all the leftovers. They heard the same messages over and over. So when it was their turn to deliver the message, do you think they knew it? They knew it inside and out. They knew it inside and out. They heard the same thing from Jesus. What better teacher, right? Right? So after that, after they knew it, what did he do? He sent them out. Their apprenticeship was almost over. He sent them out and said, okay, now it's your turn. He sent them out 2 by 2. Mark 6:7, and he called unto them the 12 and began to send them 2 by 2 and gave them power over unclean spirits. And after he sent them out, they talked about what happened. In Mark 6:30, and the apostles gathered together unto Jesus and told him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught. Okay, so what was this? This part was they went out, they preached the gospel, they healed people, and then they came back and they talked about it. This is what we ran into. And so they learned here. We learn the gospel here in our own studies. We gather twice a week, unless there's grouting to be done. And then
3 times.
3 times a week, right? Okay, so when we meet, what do we meet for a grand total of, what, 5 hours? 5 hours? And I did the math, so I could be wrong. Follow me on this. Accounting for 8 hours of sleep each day, we have 112 hours of awake time. 112 hours of awake time during the week. We spent 5 hours in church. Is this where we're going to learn the gospel? We're going to learn the gospel by our own studies as well as what we do in here. Right? This is important, but our own studies are even more important because the ratio is 5 to 107. 5 hours here, 107 hours out there. I don't know about you, but I don't like that. I don't like that ratio. Those odds are pretty bad. So we have to reduce that. That is why self-study is so important. This is how God gives us the tools that we need. Here, this is the worship service. This is time to worship God and be grateful for what He gives us. And worship Him and sing songs, and some of us just make joyful noise. Right? And so we learn some stuff here, but our personal study is so important. And that's where the learning comes in. Can you turn those fans up? It's 400 degrees right here where I'm standing. Thank you. Okay, all right, so after Jesus enables them, He empowers them. What does that mean? After He was crucified, He came back and stayed for how many days? 40 days. 40 days, Acts 1:3. To whom also He showed Himself alive after His passion by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of the things pertaining to the kingdom of God. They had just seen Him murdered. His lifeless body was removed from the cross, and He was put in the ground. And then, what happened? The resurrection. The resurrection. Right? Proof positive of who Jesus was. And who He said He was. Right? They were lost for those 3 days without their leader. And when He appeared after His death, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Because I would have been scared to death, and then seeing Him resurrected would have brought new life to my faith. Right? Would have shown me the power of the gospel. So it gave them the resolve and confidence that what He taught them was truth. Truth. Not the truth. Not a truth. Not the truth. Not a truth. But truth. Period. Truth. Exclamation point. What Jesus was telling them was truth. 2 Timothy, wait, I got ahead of myself. Now, He doesn't appear to us, right? He doesn't show up when we're having a bad time, or show up and say, hey Gus, maybe you should study this, right? But how does He talk to us? 2 Timothy 3, verse 16 and 17. All Scripture
is inspired. Yeah.
by God and is profitable for doctrine,
For reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man
Faithfulness.
perfect, perfectly furnished unto all works. There you go.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, baby. Through His Word. Through His Word. That's how He speaks to us, right here. We can have this every single day, every minute of every day. Right here. We have access to it. So that's what we have. Finally, He empowered them. Mark 16:15, and He said unto them, Go you unto all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. We are not exempt. We are expected to do this. The point is that not every Christian does this. Not every Christian does this. Not every Christian does this to the best of their abilities. Like the disciples we are enrolled in Jesus' apprenticeship program. So listen to me. Here's what I'm getting to. It took him 3 years to mold these stinky, uneducated, laboring fishermen to be world changers. To be world changers. Right? And he did, and what did they do? They changed the world. They changed the world. Exactly. Right? So was Jesus' plan to make these guys world changers and then that's it? It's only going to be these guys? No. The plan was that they make disciples and their disciples make disciples. Otherwise, would we be here today? Not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance. Matthew 28:19. Go therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Amen. Amen. Let's say that part together. Amen. Amen. Right? So what does this say? It says 3 things. It says go. It says baptize. It says teach. It says teach, right? When Jesus says this, is he saying that they're ready right now to go? They know the truth and how to use it and how to bring new disciples into the church and make even more disciples. They study the Word and they had a relationship with the Lord and are now ready to teach that relationship to new believers. So we've been given the same power from God to go, to baptize, to teach all nations. God does not turn his back on us, which is miraculous in itself, especially when I'm thinking about this guy right here. So because he's fully aware of our limitations, especially the ones we put on ourselves. He has enabled us to preach the gospel, and in fact, just the idea that we're here and are followers of Christ, in a perfect world, that would be enough, right? It would be perfect. It's great. This is all I have to do. He knows we're weak. He trains us in our everyday life to get better at sharing the gospel. Every time we fail to share the gospel, I know I do it. I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm like, man, this guy really needs Jesus. And then the conversation's over. And I'm like, why didn't I tell him about Jesus? That's a fail. So what do we do when we fail?
Regroup.
No, we just quit. We just quit, that's enough.
Regroup.
Right. We don't quit. We're not quitters. We regroup. We learn from the failure. Next time we run into someone who, this guy needs Jesus. What do we do? Hey, why don't you come to my church? Hey, are you saved? It's as simple as that. Can we do that on our own? I remember, well, no, I'm not going to go into this. Another Jehovah's Witness story. Anyway, that was horrible times. So what do we do about it? We don't dwell on the fact that we failed. We're not quitters. Romans 3:10, as it is written, there is none righteous. No, not one. There is none that understands. There is none that seeks after God. They are all gone out of the way. They are together become unprofitable. There is none that does good. No, not one. This verse isn't a club. This is just the facts. This verse perfectly describes me. When Paul is writing about no one righteous. Do you think he set himself apart from that? There's no way. We know he didn't set himself apart from that because he says what? I am the greatest sinner among all of these. So he means everyone. He means everyone. So what's the answer? And in Romans 3:21 through 24, and I'm going to read this from the Amplified Bible. But now the righteousness of God has been revealed independently and altogether apart from law, although actually it is attested by the law of the prophets, namely the righteousness of God, which comes by believing with personal trust and confidence and reliance on Jesus Christ. And it is meant for all who believe. There is no distinction. Since all have sinned and all are falling short of the honor and glory which God bestows and receives, all are justified and made upright and in right standing with God freely and gratuitously by his grace. What is that grace? That grace is his unmerited favor and mercy through the redemption which is provided in Christ Jesus. What does that mean? It means I'm not good. But through belief in Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter. Because through him, I am judged, not through me. Thankfully, not through me. I used to have a saying that the only thing I can take with me is, the only thing I can take with me when I die is Denise and Sophia. But I limited myself. I limited myself. Because I can take all of you with me, and all of my family members, and all of my friends, and all of my acquaintances, and this poor guy who really needs Jesus, that I don't even know. But in heaven, we'll get to know each other. I can take him with me. I can take everyone with me. Everyone. And I limit myself. Don't limit yourself. Have faith and confidence that God will give you the tools. He will give them to you. Stay in the Word. Study the Word. And then you can take everyone with you. Everyone. Everyone. All right. All right, thank you. Ooh! We're getting out 5 minutes early. I would like lunch. Or a light snack. All right. I'm going to say a prayer, then we'll be released. Heavenly Father, the task that you've given us seems daunting and difficult for many of us, myself included, Lord. But knowing that this is your work, that you will give me the tools to fulfill it, to preach the gospel throughout the world, and to show everyone that I know you, and their need for you is unbelievable, Lord, because I'm just one dirty fisherman, if you will, and I want to be a world changer, and I pray that you make all of us world changers, to bring the world your gospel and to change the hearts and the minds of those close to us and those not so close to us as well, Lord. That is the only hope that we have. And so, Lord, give us the confidence, give us strength, give us wisdom and knowledge, and keep us in your word and keep us in prayer to you. And we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.